Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's webinar, Mobile Search and Mobile Web, What You Need to Know. I'm Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today. And today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. And for anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, best known for our search engine optimization, best-in-class customer service, and our award-winning websites. DealerOn was named the top-rated website provider earlier this year by Driving Sales in 2012, and DealerOn customers were winners of the Spring and Fall 2012 Digital Dealer Website Excellence Awards, including the highly coveted overall winner. DealerOn is so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that we're the only company in the industry to offer a lead guarantee program. That's right, a money-back lead guarantee program. So if your website company isn't guaranteeing you leads, well then maybe you should check us out at dealeron.com. And we are so pleased to have Bill Leake as our presenter today. Bill Leake is the CEO of Apogee-results.com, the online marketing authority serving top global brands such as Whole Foods, IBM, and Hewlett Packard. And it's one of the fastest growing companies on the Inc. 500 list. Bill has been driving provable revenues through internet marketing since the mid-1990s. Bill draws on a deep expertise in both business and marketing to help increase revenues for a wide range of clients. He has guided Apogee-branded companies to success, creating strategies for many of the 20 largest independent online marketing agencies in North America. Apogee has been particularly instrumental in building dozens of Internet Retailer 500, Software 500, and VC-backed companies, growing more Inc. 500 and Inc. 5000 companies than anyone else in the industry. Bill Leake is the author of the book, Complete B2B Online Marketing, and was also the chairman of Search Engine Marketing Professionals Organization North America Committee. Bill speaks frequently at industry shows including South by Southwest, Shop.org, Internet Retailer, Search Engine Strategies, and Ad Tech. And he can be reached at leake@apogeeresults.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we'll answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, don't worry, we're going to respond by email to you later today. Also, don't forget, a link to download a copy of today's webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference. And please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And guess what? Our good friends at Apogee-results.com are giving all of the attendees today a free mobile health checklist. I'll be sending it to you in PDF form in my follow-up email later today with your link to today's recording. So don't worry about anything. You're going to get it later. Also, at the conclusion of today's webinar, you're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. And today we're going to randomly select some winners from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. So let's get started. Let's learn about mobile search and mobile web. Bill Leake, I am so pleased to have you today on my show. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm on my second cup of coffee, so I think I'm going to be able to stay awake for the webinar, and hopefully, if I stay awake, at least most of the folks who've joined us will stay awake as well.
Well, I tell you, there's not too many people in the auto industry who don't appreciate an excellent cup of coffee in the morning, or maybe 3. So we do appreciate that you're here with us today. And when it comes to mobile, nothing is hotter right now. I mean, nothing. And I'm sure you're going to be talking about how hot mobile is. But tell us what else we're going to be learning about today.
Well, we're going to cover a little bit just on how hot mobile is, and I'm not going to belabor that too much because, you know, I'm guessing that just about everybody here, I almost wanted this to be a poll question, and Ileana said, no, that's a stupid poll question, so I didn't make it one. But it was going to be how many of us have a smartphone, and who has browsed the web on a smartphone? And so, you know, we're all doing the mobile thing, and it's in some way, shape, or form. So that's sometimes the best place to start is just, you know, relating our own experiences and then putting ourselves in the customer's shoes. So we're going to talk about the mobile marketplace, and there's just, I mean, we could have spent their whole conferences just talking about the adoption of mobile. So we're not going to spend too much time on that. Then we're going to go into kind of considerations about doing a mobile website, and actually some things you can do really cheaply on that, so you don't have to spend a huge budget for it. And talk briefly about mobile applications, because a lot of folks are out there, pitching and pushing mobile applications in addition to mobile websites. Then we're going to go into a fairly meaty section where we're going to talk about the mobile search arena, what you need to do to actually get your website ranking, both in the natural search or SEO, but also kind of what are some of the ad formats, and what's different out there from a standard pay-per-click Google AdWords campaign once you get into the realm of mobile. And then, time permitting, we're just going to throw it wide open and open the barn doors to tomatoes, darts, and anything else, and hopefully I'll try to answer. I'll answer every question, and a certain percentage of them hopefully will be the right answer. On top of that, one of the interesting things about the internet space is there really are no experts. We're all students. Once we feel like we've mastered something, Google or Facebook are going to change it on us. So I've been studying this for well over a decade, and some people are recent students, but everything out there is open to study. So, what works for the dealership across the street from you may or may not totally work for you, because we all have slightly different circumstances.
Well, Bill, we have so much to get to today. And all of you out there in webinar land, I'm letting you know right now, I got a sneak peek at Bill's presentation. You are definitely in for a treat. He is going to cover stuff you've never heard about before, and it's a lot of information. So sit back, enjoy the ride. It is going to be recorded. Don't worry. And Bill, I'm turning it over to you.
Why, thank you. So just at a high level, one of the things that we really believe is that succeeding online really is a straightforward equation. You've got to be credible, and you've got to be findable. And that's the basic equation for anything you're going to do online. And it's a tough combination because credibility varies from one form factor to another. What looks credible on a desktop may not be credible on a mobile device. What's credible on your main website may need to be different on a Facebook page. So it's figuring out what does it take to be credible, and then how do you actually get found? And the ironic part of that is a lot of ad agencies are reasonably good at the credibility part of the picture. They like to make pretty websites, and it's a wonderful work of art, and they'll spend lots of money creating content that's credible, but they're not necessarily very good at the online findability piece. I mean, they'll understand how to spend lots of ad dollars for TV, but they're still coming up the digital curve in a lot of cases. Conversely, a lot of online marketing firms are reasonably good at the findability. They've kind of figured out SEO and Google AdWords, but they don't necessarily know as much about the psychology of marketing and customers, and so they'll bring people to a web page and then they'll bounce off. And so you really need that combination of getting the thing found but also having the right thing. So let's just dive into the mobile marketplace. One of the amazing things that happened last year is computing devices in the form of tablets and smartphones passed up personal computers. And personal computer growth is really flattening, as you can see, and tablets are actually growing at an even faster rate than smartphones did. I've seen some other stats that show growth in the computer market and build tablets into it, and all the growth in computers these days really is driven by tablets and micro form factor devices. There are a number of ways we could look at this chart, and we could do it by operating system or we could do it by browser. But at the end of the day, if we're looking at mobile devices at the moment, it's an Apple and Google world. So you really, and especially even more so in the consumer space, you really don't need to worry about developing for 30 different platforms. I mean, yeah, it's great to get that 1% of the market, that's using, Microsoft here, or, maybe you want the BlackBerry users, but you want to kind of cover the bases first. And Android's growing at a good clip. These stats look almost identical when you look at the operating system, the underlying operating system, which tells you what kind of device it is. Now, that being said, it's important to understand your customer base and who you sell to as well. A lot of you may do just fine optimizing primarily around iPads and iPhones, and have a slightly suboptimal experience for the folks on Android, but that may be your sweet spot. And so the other thing here, and if you want more data, I can go deeper than these charts, but at a high level, what I will tell you is that by and large, Android users tend to be sort of more technically oriented folks at the very high end of the market, programmer types, and then most of your subprime demographic. So for instance, if you're selling used cars primarily, you may actually want, Android becomes a lot more important to you because Android phones are cheaper. The people who go for Android, A, don't want to be part of the Apple fan club and are techie enough that they kind of want to do their own thing with apps and they trick up their phone. So a certain part of the luxury market, and then the subprime folks who can't afford an iPhone but want a smartphone. And so Apple's kind of the vast middle. So kind of understanding who is your customer today is going to drive a little bit where you need to be in the mobile world. There are some stats out there showing that that iPhone users tend to purchase a lot more. They tend to be more affluent, and they are using their phone in a more immersive experience. But there are exceptions to that rule. And again, as a general rule, Android users are going to be primarily subprime compared to Apple users, with a slice of Android users that are kind of the engineer and programmer type, the technology type, that are going to be fairly endowed with cash. A couple stats here. This one actually is from Google, and they peeled back this summer some data from their search results and looked at the auto-related shopping queries, and about 40% of that is occurring on a mobile device. Now, they didn't break it out further, unfortunately. They weren't really showing, are these long-tail keyword phrases versus short-tail? Does it vary by time of day, and how are they defining a shopping query as opposed to a research query? But according to Google, a lot of the searches, 40% now are mobile, 38% to be precise. And as you can see in that bar graph, it's grown tremendously over the last several years, despite iPhones being around, since I guess '07. Or '08. So a lot of this is a behavioral change, not just a device change. People are getting more and more comfortable doing more things while they're on their mobile phone, hopefully not while driving.
I'm surprised, Bill. That's a lot higher than I thought it would be. 38%? That's a lot higher than I thought it would be.
It is higher than I thought it would be as well. And it's really interesting looking at the growth here. Now, this is Google reported data again, and so they haven't really drilled into it. And Google, I love Google, but they have a vested interest in having you spend more here. So they may have changed the queries or broadened their definition of search queries. So it's the other thing that is driving this, I bet Eliana, is it's not really driven as much by iPhones. It's driven by iPads. So when you see that the volume's really spiking, it's in 2011 as tablet shipments really start to take off.
Gotcha.
So tablets are this weird middle world in between smartphones and computers, and they're not the best device in the world to be sending email on and typing on unless you have a keyboard expansion. But if you're sitting in your bed, they're a lot more fun than a laptop to just browse websites on.
Definitely.
And put in a couple words here and there. So we're seeing a lot of use of tablets for information consumption. And one of the things, I don't have slides on it, but one of the things to keep in mind, and I should have some slides on it, is really there should be almost 3 form factors that you're developing for. One, the kind of the full desktop size. The second, the iPad size, and the third, the phone size. And the iPad size is a lot closer to your desktop. You may not want to serve up a full-bore mobile site on a tablet. You may want to serve up the more full-function site. So that's probably what's driving this one is really tablets more than smartphones. One thing to keep in mind with a small form factor device, and actually with any purchase out here, this applies to desktop as well. There's all this news about Amazon and e-commerce and things are moving to digital. Well, the bulk of the major purchases in people's lives, houses, automobiles, refrigerators, and just a truckload of other stuff, it ultimately is local. Now, this is an old stat, and I've been banging on the guys at eMarketer, and Jeff Ramsey over there is a super guy, and I don't know why they haven't updated this in the last several years, but just as a data point here, online search, and this is all search, not just mobile, influences far more sales than it actually drives. So people are doing their research online, and then they're buying offline, especially when it's I'm guessing you're not selling too many automobiles sight unseen out of your shopping cart. They generally don't. It does happen. I mean, eBay Motors, people buy automobiles on that. People buy automobiles on AutoTrader, but the bulk of auto purchasing for the foreseeable future is going to be a physical presence in a dealership.
Right.
And most of those purchases are going to be within 50 miles of a person's home. Now, that's great news for everybody here who's spending money online because you can target. You certainly don't want to be spending a lot of money out of area, and Google's got a lot better at that lately. Let's look at this. 2013. This, according to Gartner, Google, and Cisco, more people are going to use mobile phones than PCs to get online in terms of internet connections. Mobile searches are just growing like crazy, and this doesn't mean that a lot of the world is going to have, that all of the world is going to have mobile devices. What it actually means is that a lot of us in the developed world are going to have 5 or 6 mobile devices of various types and form factors, but they're proliferating like crazy. I'm less concerned that there are a lot of them out there. Kind of our bigger question is, well, what are they doing? And according to Adobe, in a study from last year in eMarketer, what's going on out there is they're researching, and they're doing lots of mobile reviews, lots of review reading, which, is for auto repair shops. It could be for plumbers. It could be for restaurants. But a lot of the review consumption, Yelp and whatnot, is occurring mobily. People don't want to sit there and do it on a desktop. They kind of want to get real-time information while they're near something. This one was a little bit of a surprise, and I'm not sure I totally buy it. 63% of respondents in the survey said they prefer mobile sites for purchasing. It depends on what they're buying. I don't think they're going to purchase an automobile in most cases on a mobile site. It's not just directions. People are comparing product prices. Again, they're reading reviews. Now, the searches will often lead to a purchase, but the purchase is generally not going to occur on a mobile site. And then this point I can't belabor enough, and people tend to treat them separately, but mobile and local are really conjoined at the hip. Most of what's going on with mobile devices has local intent. I used to call it dating, dining, and discounts, the 3 Ds, is kind of the easy things you could do with a smartphone. But really, it's all those things that traditionally would have occurred in the yellow pages or local TV or local radio are now moving to mobile digital. So let's go into the next. Actually, let's do a poll question.
Oh, I think that's a great idea. Let's do that. Okay, everyone. We have a few poll questions for you today, and the first one is right on your screen. So we want to know from you. So please turn to your screen and finish this statement for us. Are you currently investing in, and for this one, hit all of them that apply. So If you're doing all of them, great. Let us know. So are you currently investing in AdWords, SEO, internet display ads? Are you doing some retargeting, which is, kind of a newish buzzword, or mobile-specific ad campaigns, or maybe some of each of them? So once we get a majority of the votes, which is coming up pretty quickly, then we'll close the poll and share the results with the rest of the audience, as with Bill, our presenter, and see if he's surprised by your answers. So you're currently investing in AdWords, SEO, internet display ads, retargeting, and or mobile-specific ad campaigns. Pick all of them that apply, and you know what? Almost everyone's voted. We just have a few stragglers out there. I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys are saying. And Bill, I don't know. I think you might be a little bit surprised by these answers. Let's close this poll. Thank you everyone so much for your votes. We really appreciate it. We're going to close this poll and share the results. So, Bill, I want you to know 79% of today's audience is definitely investing in SEO. 74% of today's audience is doing AdWords. 63% of today's audience are doing internet display ads. 58%, I'm really impressed, 58% of you out there are doing retargeting. And 32% of today's audience are doing mobile-specific ad campaigns. Is that
We're
what
going to get a lot of tough questions from the 32%.
I bet we are. Thank you, everyone, so much for your votes. I very much appreciate it. I'm going to throw it back over to you, Bill.
Great. Well, those of you who are not yet doing retargeting, I strongly recommend it, because if you have spent money to bring somebody to your website, following them around the internet with small little ads afterwards is actually kind of cheap in comparison to what those TV ads, radio ads, and whatever Google shook you down for with the AdWords. Getting another bite at the apple with retargeting is typically very, very cost effective. I'd at least recommend, to the 42% of you who aren't doing it, I strongly recommend put aside a few $1,000s and at least test it. And if it didn't work for you, please call me and tell me, or email me and tell me, because I need to know, because I'm recommending this to my clients. So if it's not working for you, I want to figure out why not, and is it fixable? And if it's not fixable, I need to put the cautionary tales in that, because it's working for all of our clients. Retargeting is working really well. So let's not go there.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, these apples like to jump around sometimes. There we go. Let's go into your mobile presence, the credibility. So what do people want to see when they go to a mobile website? How do you get a mobile website? How do you figure out what to do with this? Because there are a lot of people out there who want to sell you a mobile website. All those ad agencies who several years ago were building up flashy microsites and charging you lots of money for kind of an immersive advergaming-y kind of flashy thing, and the wonderful Google Invisible stuff. Again, they got the credibility, but they have a zero on the findability. I mean, you really don't want your website to be a Romulan cloaking shield that Google can't find.
Nice. Our first Star Trek reference. I love it.
Well, so but you need the credibility, and now, since they know that they can't build flashy microsites, they're running around all pretending to be mobile experts. Now, even worse, a lot of them want to build apps, and we can talk more about apps, and we'll get to them a lot in the Q&A, but I'm a big believer in crawl, walk, run, a huge believer in just start moving. Put one like that. It's the holiday time, so it's the Winter Warlock song from Santa Claus is coming to town. Put one foot in front of the other, and where do you start? And one of the key things in starting is get something that is not horribly hideously ugly that Google can read quickly. And the problem is our customers are a pain in the keister. Look at this. 60% of them expect a mobile site to load in 3 seconds or less. 71% expect it to load as fast as your desktop site. And, they don't seem to keep coming back for more. So, you know, has nobody told, like, America that a mobile phone processor isn't as powerful as, like, a desktop? It's smaller, therefore it's less powerful. There's less processor speed in that. They should be happy to sit around and wait for 5 minutes and be thankful they got anything pulling up, but they're not.
I remember, you know, just even maybe let's say 3 years back, I remember having a phone, you know, a smartphone at the time, and saying to myself, you know what, I'll just wait till I get home and I'll, you know, search for it then, or I'll Google it then, or I'll look that up then. Now, oh no, now I need it now. If I want it now, I go to the phone and I do my search on the phone.
You know, it's amazing what a nostalgic people we're not. You know, everything's ADD, and it has to be so fast, and it's so tough watching a movie that's 50 years old because they actually, like, do crazy things like develop characters and plot lines. You know, there's no car crash in the first 5 seconds.
We just want to see stuff blow up. Come on now.
Yeah, there may be a train wreck, but it's, you know, halfway through the movie, the first one, you know, so it takes, you know, exactly. And so the same thing with websites, you know, it's not like people have nostalgia for the good old days of dial-up. And that's extended to mobile devices. People are expecting an instant on. And that really does mean we need to configure what we deliver to them for credibility. Key thing here, it's got to be fast. I mean, this is, you know, and not only that, it has to be good. I mean, what are these people expecting? You know, and I like the third one here. So, you know, it's if you do want to spread unhappiness in the world and get lots of cursing going on, you could build a really bad mobile site and then spend lots of money buying Google ads to it and kind of just really, you know, there are multiple ways of creating bad karma, but that would be one. But I mean, the key thing here is it's got to be fast, and it's got to be good within a mobile form factor. And so, you know, simplicity is actually tough. One of the places I often recommend people start, Ileana, is with their free website at Google Places, kind of the Google Plus, you know, Google Maps thing. That Google Places listing is actually really, really mobile friendly. Google gives you a free mobile website.
And I think that anyone who hasn't been updating their Google Places page is really missing the mark. You should be checking on that thing, I think, every week, if not at least once a month. You know, making sure. At least
once, and possibly even more. And sometimes when you're doing ads on Google, it actually makes more sense for mobile ads to take them to your Google Places site than your main dealership site. I mean, one of the things you'll see on a dealership site is a lot of dealership sites are great. They've got lots of images. They've got, you know, moving pictures, sometimes moving talking pictures, like real modern technology, like stuff everywhere, flashy colors, and it's really kind of a nice immersive experience because you're trying to, like, deliver, you know, enough of an enticing experience so they actually now want to go come touch the thing. Mobile sites need to be a lot more, you know, just showing a lot less leg in a manner of speaking because it's going to slow stuff down, and it's not the best form factor to consume a lot of rich media. Now, again, tablets in between here. But Google gives you a free mobile site. So before you go spend a lot of money on your own mobile site, take advantage of your free one. And, you know, crazy Google here, they've got their AdWords Express for local advertising, which is great advertising into a Google Places site, and they're doing crazy things for people now. They have a toll-free number. I don't, you know, Ileana, I know you've been in the industry for you know, longer than your looks would suggest.
Thank you.
And for those of us who've been around the block a few years, you know, it is amazing that Google now has like 800 numbers and like humans you can talk to. I had a client several years ago who was spending, you know, not you know, crazy huge amounts on Google, but not tiny amounts either. I mean, respectable. I think they were spending maybe $200,000 a year on Google, and just for kicks and giggles, they called in to Google. This was about 2009, 2010. And said, I'd like to talk to somebody. You know, we spend a couple $100,000 a year with you. And Google would not allow them to talk to anyone other than the front desk. It's like, well, you need to know the number of your particular Google account rep, and oh, you're being handled by an agency. Well, there's nobody you can talk to then.
Really?
And my client called me up, and we shared a laugh over it, because at the time Google was trying to like algorithm all the humans out of the equation. They're trying to write, if you write enough code, then maybe we don't have to hire humans, or humans other than the ones using Android phones and being really techie, nerdy, geeky, and making Star Trek jokes. So it's really come full circle, because most of these AdWords Express clients are spending hundreds or low thousands a month. They're aggressively chasing mobile and local, and that's actually a good thing. Just be aware, that there's a reason they're chasing it. They want your money. But it's really easy to set up your Places page and your Yahoo and your Bing pages. When you're doing it, keep in mind the kinds of things that are going to do well on a mobile device. Coupons, small pictures, keep them small, not high-res pictures. Your hours of operation, how to find you. I do recommend putting a few videos in, because they can choose whether to consume it or not. But it does add credibility. Just don't force videos on people. I mean, one of the things that still sticks in my craw about all those ad agencies and the sites they inflicted on people several years ago were the flash that forced you to watch it. Anyone remember those websites? You'd go to it and they'd say, "Please wait while my work of art downloads for you to view." They don't even say, "Please wait." They just say, "You will wait. You will sit in that seat and wait for my art to begin." I mean, I got away. I was really good at the back button on those ones. I didn't want to wait for some, failed artist who now works for an ad agency to force their art on me. I mean, that's really offensive from a usability perspective. So if you're doing video, if you're doing noises, if you're doing anything out of the ordinary, make it an invitation. Don't force it on them. Anyone here cruise the web at work, and then all of a sudden you hit a website and it starts making noise and you forgot you have your speakers on?
Yeah, and yes. So videos without the autoplay. Forget the autoplay. No one likes it.
Yeah. There's a great free service out there, getlisted.org. David Meem, who runs it, is one of the masters at local search. And again, local and mobile are 70% overlap. And this will give you a quick overview of how you're doing with your local website. And again, your local website is increasingly going to be your mobile website. When you claim your places, you go to the Google Local Business Center, you fill out the form. Google's made it really easy to do. You can add payment options. You can geotag your images, which is going to help for SEO. Host your videos on YouTube, and do video SEO there on YouTube as well. So when you're thinking SEO these days, be thinking mobile local, but also be thinking of the world's second largest search engine after Google, and that's called YouTube. People are consuming a lot of YouTube on mobile. And they'll feel, actually, from a credibility perspective, they're going to be more comfortable consuming your videos if they do watch rich media on a mobile device. They'll be more comfortable consuming it over at YouTube, because they know what it is. They have a good feeling it's going to play. So be thinking about your YouTube channel as well. And Google's put this thing up. If you haven't been there, go there immediately. And, well, if you haven't been there and you care about mobile, maybe after this presentation, you'll go, "Oh, thank goodness, I'm never going to do mobile again. I'm just done with mobile, and saved me a bunch of pain. I hate it, and I'm not going to do it, and no one's going to use a smartphone, and everyone's going to go back to, large cathode ray tubes sitting on a desktop, and that's how we're going to work the web." But if you're still interested in mobile, the next thing you probably should do after this presentation is go to this great free thing that Google has, howtogomo.com. And they've put this thing up, and they have lots of stats. If I haven't given you enough stats, they've got more. I've used some of the same ones they have. They go deeper on that. They have a tool that the Gomo meter that will tell you how your site looks on a smartphone. By the way, you can also put your competitor sites here and see how they look. This is a great testing tool. Strongly recommend it. and you can get a mobile site. Now, cautionary thing here is these guys down the road are going to charge something. But right now, you can get a mobile site if your Google Places one isn't solid enough. You can get another, and you want to have more than that, you can get a transitory one to kind of bridge you while you figure out what your longer-term strategy is right here. Google signed up with a partner that may or may not be a good long-term partner, but Google's really focused here, lots and lots of effort, time, attention, and money on getting people out there with mobile-friendly devices. And they are going to spend whatever it takes. That's part of why they have Android. It's not really because they want an operating system. It's because they need to control for their future the mobile advertising dollar environment. And then here's something as well that they've got in terms of best practices for mobile sites. And each of these, you can go more deeply on it, but think through these things with your mobile site. Fewer words, simple navigation. It has to be fast. It has to be fast for usability, also has to be fast for SEO. Always have a link to your desktop, just in case people want to go there for the deep information. But most people aren't going to do their super deep research on a mobile device. But if you're defaulting all tablet users to your mobile site, some of them may want to rapidly get to your main site to read. And then make sure there are directions and maps and things like that. Again, a lot of people are using mobile for how do I find you? And, to make it accessible, they're mostly right on that, but again, what they're saying is don't forget Android because we own it, and don't just do iOS because we don't like Apple. So again, depending on kind of time and effort and budget, if you're looking at it and saying, this is actually more, it's fairly easy to make a mobile site accessible. If you go that next step, which is probably appropriate for no more than 10 or 20% of dealerships at this point, and actually developing a mobile app, forget Android. just do iOS for apps, because having a cross-platform app is markedly more expensive than just doing one platform. Having a cross-platform website is actually pretty easy. So I would counsel testing your mobile site on Android and on the iOS. So why is Google doing all this? What's their point? Well, keep in mind, Google's a lot like a martini glass. They've got this big stock price, which is the top of the martini glass, and it's supported by a tiny soda straw. It's not so tiny, but it's a single soda straw called AdWords. At least Microsoft has 2 soda straws. They've got Office and they've got operating systems. And finally, Xbox has got profitable, but that's just a tiny rounding error compared to Office and operating systems. Google has one revenue stream. And so they are desperately trying to find ways to break out of their stock price being entirely dependent on AdWords revenue on a desktop or laptop computer. And they're spending money like crazy trying to do a breakout strategy so they're not dependent on that. Now, they're also spending lots of time and effort monkeying around with your quality scores and finding ways to try to charge you more for the same clicks every quarter and get away with that. Because they need to. They need to dial up their earnings to hit their targets. But, let's all hope that they monetize some of this other stuff so they don't just keep taking more money off the table on the classic AdWords. Let's move over to findability, and I think this is a good time for another poll question.
I think that's a great idea. Okay, audience, we need your help. If you could please look at your screen and answer the following question. You expect your 2013 investments in online to, and select one of the following answers. Let us know. Do you think it's going to increase a lot? You think it's going to increase a little? You think you're going to keep everything the same? Or you think you might pull back a little bit and decrease it? So are you expecting your investments in online in the coming new year, which, my goodness, is fast approaching? You think you're going to Increase it a lot, increase it a little, stay the same, or maybe decrease a little bit. Oh my goodness, I was going to say when we have a majority of the votes, we'll close the poll, but my goodness, almost everyone's voted. Thank you so much, everyone, for your votes. I can't wait for you to see the results for this one. Bill, are you ready? I'm going to close the poll and
let's go there.
Share the results. Okay, 59% of today's audience said that they expect their 2013 online investments to increase a little. 32% say they expect them to increase a lot. 9% think that they're just going to stay the same, stay the course, and no one said that they're going to decrease. No one.
Huh.
So basically,
I guess.
let's see, that's 91% of today's audience basically see an increase going on to their online investments in the new year.
Well, that's not good news for the television producers.
I think our auto dealers have definitely learned the lesson that you know, maybe something as broad as radio and television and those aren't really, where newspapers aren't doing it for them the way the internet is doing it for them.
I know that most local papers are really struggling with that. There are some exceptions. We've done some work with a kind of a thrifty nickel or green sheets or recycler type paper. Some of the community thrift papers are for used cars in particular, and used cars focused on subprime consumers or Spanish-speaking consumers. That's been one of the few bright spots in print. I've actually seen in the auto space some evidence that those types of papers are holding their ground. But yes, clearly the classic auto section of the daily newspaper is one of those things that is returning less and less value for every month that dollars go into it.
But I think some newspapers are also going online. So while they have the printed version, now they have the online version as well. Which
They do have the online version.
You can get delivered.
And then there's Craigslist, which is a whole, gosh, I bet you guys have done a Craigslist webinar, but if not, that's a huge thing these days we see in the auto space as well as, what's the Craigslist marketing strategy?
Actually, I have not done a Craigslist one. Hey, Bill, if you want me to put you on the hook for a Craigslist webinar, you let me know after the show, okay?
Well, it depends on the feedback we get. If everyone other than the two of us is asleep out there, I don't know that. Hey, we could make money off of that. We could do as a team, we're better than Ambien.
Come on. I don't think we're doing that bad, Bill.
No, I don't think so.
We've already had two references to Star Trek today, so, I mean, that makes three.
So let's talk a little bit about how to get found. And there are natural ways of getting found, the SEO ways on the Internet, and then there are paid ways of getting found. And it's interesting out there because just back in June of this year, one of Google's representatives, a guy named Pierre Farr, said that smartphone results are basically the same as desktop results. Well, Pierre lies. That's not at all true. There are a lot of differences between smartphone results and desktop results. Even my friend, who I totally respect in the SEO industry, he's done a phenomenal job out there, a guy named Rand Fishkin at SEO Moz. At the beginning of this year, Rand predicted that the impact of mobile on SEO would be negligible due to search results that were fairly device agnostic. And I beg to differ with Rand on this one, and I'll tell you why. We've been doing a lot of looking at what's different on the mobile side and the desktop side, and we're seeing a lot of differences. I strongly recommend those of you who have SEO programs going on, also take a tablet device and take a smartphone and perform the same searches you're doing on a desktop and get a screen capture. And I bet you're going to see some of these differences, and they impact what SEO you're doing. For starters, the single most important one that I see is that local results are more likely to appear in mobile. And that makes sense. Google understands that mobile searches are more likely to have local intent, so that whole other search engine, that entirely different search algorithm that Google owns, which is Google Local and Maps, which is now rolled up into Google+, those results are far more likely to pop up in a mobile search. That's a different SEO effort than classic SEO. Second is autocomplete results often appear before the main results in mobile app search. So, a lot of times if you're optimizing for mobile, people are it's harder to type in a long string search. So Google's going to more aggressively try to understand and supply what it is they think you're looking for. Let's see. Well, let me get you a couple more. Then we'll actually dive into how to do the SEO. But I think it's important to understand that there are differences. One other thing to keep in mind is for those Android users. Google just loves this because they get the data. They are always logged in. They're always logged in. What that means from a search perspective is that they are always going to be getting personalized results. One of the big changes in SEO over the last several years is that if people are logged into Google while they're doing their search, you can have two people sitting next to each other performing the exact same search on the exact same computer from the same IP address, but one of them sees completely different results than the other. It's been a whole nightmare in terms of tracking rankings, I'll tell you that from an SEO perspective. But personalized search is really reshaping a lot of SEO. Well, Android users on mobile are always going to have personalized search. So that's going to really change a lot of, how you reach them. And, you're going to have a harder time figuring out, are you really ranking? Positions of the vertical results are often different in the smartphone results. For example, video results are usually broken up on the second line rather than placed on the same result. Image results often appear higher in mobile search results. So image search optimization actually becomes more important in mobile SEO. A lot of times, classic SEO people are still focused on those text results and then secondarily on maps results, and forget to do, or you don't know how to do because it's different, image search SEO and video SEO. But if mobile is important to the business goals, that may change the priority of what you're doing in SEO. You definitely want to do image, and you may want to be doing video SEO. So, there's also, in a lot of cases, a more blended algorithm. Mobile's even more likely to have different search engines pulling in. You're more likely to get different form factors like the news and maps and video and images. It's happening very frequently with desktop searches too, but there are still some desktop searches where you get all text results. A couple other things, click-through rate and bounce rate data are likely to vary in mobile smartphone listings. And a lot of us in the industry think that click-through rate and bounce rate data is used to determine ranking, potentially. And so, since mobile users scroll more than desktop users, and there's this is actually important to know, there's a 90% drop-off in mobile search results in the click-through rank after position 4. So one of the things to keep in mind that is different, absolutely different about classic SEO and mobile SEO is there's no page 2. Page 2, doesn't matter that much in normal SEO anymore, but people will really drill down there if they're seriously researching. Ileana, if you do a Google search on a smartphone, how many listings will you look at before it's just too painful and you go away?
I don't know, like maybe 3.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, SEO is even more important in mobile because your positions 1 and 2 become vitally important because, even internet professionals like Ileana are kind of like at 3, it's like, well, I got other things to do. This isn't any fun. Let me see. I'm going to give you one more difference we've observed, and I can if you want more, I can get you more afterwards. That one's I don't think as important. One of the nice things right now, Google does have a test going on where they have smartphone icons that indicate smartphone-friendly content, and so participating in that can actually help click-through rates and things in mobile search results. But just keep in mind they're not the same. They're similar, but they're not the same, especially since mobile is much more likely to pull up local in maps. And so we're going to spend some time figuring out how do you get maps ranking. Pieces of it are similar to classic SEO, but one of the key things is you want city and state up there in your title tag. You want a physical address on your pages. If you have multiple locations with your dealership, have a different page for each location. Don't go crazy putting in too much keywords, but make sure that you specifically tie your location in. And classic SEO is not concerned with location. Classic SEO really has the thought more of a lead generation site globally or an e-commerce site, and they're marketing across a bunch of regions. If you're trying to rank in the maps algorithm, you need to tie most of these pages. Somewhere on that page it has to confirm, here's where we're based, each page of the website. Since you guys have a copy of this, or will get a copy of this, I'm not going to belabor this, but this is how you do the tagging or examples of tagging for local, which again is a 70% overlap with mobile. And you know, it's important that the content of each page is also included in the keywords. So be thinking of your website. If you're making it mobile optimized or your mobile website, you know, what are the 3 or 4 keywords you're trying to rank for on a particular page? And then have those keywords mentioned, you know, possibly, you know, only once or twice on the page itself, because you're going to have less content on a mobile site. You know, best practices for on-page SEO in a classic website would be, you know, 300 to 500 words. Use the keyword 4 or 5 times. Work 3 keywords. Well, in mobile, your mobile site may have, you know, 50 words or 100 words. So you clearly can't use the keyword, you know, 3 or 4 times in that, or it's going to look really goofy. Make sure you get a lot of citations out there. And in local search, what that means is a mention of your business name and address on a website, even if it isn't a link. So the more places you're mentioned on the web with your address, Google's valuing that now pretty highly in their local algorithm, saying, hey, a lot of people are talking about Bob's Auto. Hey, that gives them credibility, and they're all giving the same address, so now we actually believe that Bob's Auto is not a fly-by-night operation moving from one parking lot to another, you know, every few years. So it's number of citations, and it's having them have your correct address. And the interesting thing about that is citations are becoming an example of where Google is taking their learnings from one of their niche search engines, in this case their mobile local map search engine, and is starting to move them into their broader old school search engine, the Google Classic. Their last couple algorithm updates in Google Classic are devaluing links in terms of links that are overly optimized, where the keyword is the click-through text and all that kind of stuff. Now they're more looking at the context around the link, and I predict that shortly they don't even need to have a link. For instance, if your local newspaper has a flattering article about something that you guys are doing, let's say you're running a charity campaign or something, and somebody picks it up and runs PR on it, and it doesn't have a link to your website, but it mentions you. Google's getting smart enough. They're already doing it in their Maps search engine. I predict in the next year or so, you're going to see their main search engine, just mentions of your business are going to help, just like links have been the currency of Google for a long time. Now, you can get citations. They're pretty straightforward to get. So, again, the parents of the business name and location is a signal that boosts ratings. Here's an outfit. I should have done an automotive one, but these guys are our data recovery service, and there are a bunch of places out there that mention the business name, location, same page. Google likes that. Google wants their maps to be credible. This is part of why Apple's, struggling. When they threw out Google Maps on their next generation of their smartphone and tried to do Apple Maps and thought it was going to be easy, this is not easy stuff. Google's built up a large data set over time to confirm that that business is actually going to be where the consumer expects it to be and where Google said it was. And they do a remarkably good job of it. They pretty much put Garmin and TomTom out of business. All these places are good places to go get citations to help your rankings. There are a bunch of websites out there that provide data that Google crawls. Big fan of the Universal Business Listing guys. It's pretty cheap. I don't get a commission on this. Gosh, I probably should, because then I probably could get 10% of that. I get $3 a year.
Woohoo!
That's good for at least half a cup of coffee these days. But they do a good job of submitting your business information to a bunch of locally focused websites. You can go to InfoUSA and do that directly. Localese is another one of them. Axiom searches the web on their own, acquiring data. You just want to make sure that you're in their database. On the other places you go for citations, you can actually find your local directories. There are a whole bunch of business directories. The things to do in this town, every metro area tends to have 50 to 60 different outfits. Some of them are national ones like Yelp. Others are really, really local specific sites that can provide links and citations to your business. Here's one of the ways we often find them. Just type in Dayton directory and pop up 10. Spend the money with the Better Business Bureau. It's a link and it's a directory. It's a paid link that's worth getting. And what I love about it is it's business friendly. The consumers haven't yet figured out that the Better Business Bureau is in our pocket. Nothing else is as a business owner. Certainly, our friends in Washington who built our businesses while we just kind of sat idly by, and they helped us out, thank goodness. I mean, they're not necessarily in our pocket. Rip-off report certainly isn't in our pocket. Yelp's not in our pocket. The chamber is focused on really big businesses. The Better Business Bureau is still, it has a good reputation out there with consumers, but 9 out of 10 times, if a lot of these other complaint sites, no matter what we do to make it right, they're going to always tilt in favor of the consumer. 9 out of 10 times, if we're doing the right thing on our side, the Better Business Bureau is going to call it like they see it and call it correctly and say we did the right thing. So I'm a big fan of the Better Business Bureau, in case you couldn't tell. I'd also, the other thing here that I'm a fan of to look at joining, and it can be a business directory and it can be a link as well, is the National Federation of Independent Business. That has a little bit of a credibility just for your general website to put those kinds of logos help. Here in Austin, there's a directory, the cityofAustin.com, Austin.com, a whole bunch of people. Some of these things date back to, the dawn of the interwebs, and are just plain HTML sites that have a lot of hyperlinks. But they provide citations and help rank. And a lot of your competitors neglect these things because they're just doing reviews or they're just doing classic SEO. By the way, reviews, you got to get them. Get reviews. The number of reviews you have really, really drives your ranking in that all-important map in Google. So figure out how you're going to get reviews. And again, we could do a whole webinar doing nothing but the intersection of social media and search, which is how do you manage your review strategy with your customers? And do you focus on new car sales? Do you focus on your service customers? Do you need multiple review strategies for different types of customers? But reviews drive rankings. You really, really want to get them. Try them from different. And I need to take this hot pot thing off. I thought I had that off. That was a failed Google experiment. Google tries a lot of things, and some of them die. But Google likes reviews coming in from different sources. And especially, some industries have industry-specific sources, like restaurants have Dishola. So I don't know if there's a preferred auto source for reviews. I should know that. I know like medical doctors have one. Actually have 3 different review sites. Clearly in travel, it's TripAdvisor. I think it's still primarily Yelp, and then just direct Google reviews for autos. And Ileana, you may know differently than I do. I'd have to do a little more research on the auto review space.
Just a review site just for autos. Well, there's DealerRater, but I don't know if a lot of people go to DealerRater.
Well, and the question is whether DealerRater has an arrangement with Google to feed them data, and whether Google finds that data is passing their own truthiness filters and whatnot. I suspect for autos it's primarily Yelp, and it's definitely direct Google ones, and then maybe a couple other places. I'm going to do some searches for that because I do want to know where they're pulling from. So it's basically reverse engineering it, going and finding all the reviews that Google's displaying for you and then figuring out where are they getting those reviews from. If they're getting those reviews from several different places, you want to be playing that game on every place that Google's taking a data feed from.
Agreed, agreed.
So, don't forget the video. Even if it doesn't, doesn't end up being something a lot of mobile people watch, having the video on your mobile local SEO strategy, having some video, Google likes that, and that's going to help you rank in the map. Definitely put your service areas in there. Where do you cover? What's your geographic footprint? Very, very important for the mobile local merger here is, it's okay if you're not ranking, 100 miles away if that's not your core service area. And this could be a challenge for some folks. I mean, this actually is a pain point for a lot of dealerships in that for tax reasons, a lot of dealerships have figured out how to locate just one at the edge of the county line, one county over from the major metro area. So, they can, sell the cars for just a little bit less. That sometimes makes a real advantage, avoiding the various, being at a slightly different sales tax level. Or the real estate is cheaper, they have a big showroom and those things. So that, what has historically been an advantage in provisioning autos to folks is now something of a disadvantage in terms of ranking on the map, because Google has a strong bias toward proximity, and also distressingly toward not just proximity toward the immediate user, they also do still tend to like a little bit proximity toward the city center. So when you're setting your service areas up, consider how broad you're going to have that be. And you may, in some cases, need to resort to paid ads to sort of get out of the cluster. Like here in Austin, we have a bunch of dealerships that are down here in New Braunfels to San Marcos, and those are some of our best dealerships. But it can be a challenge for them to rank on the mobile device to pull right up, because Google wants to show me the dealerships that are 5 miles away first. So, and there are some ways to game the system, but I wouldn't recommend that. Google's spending a lot of time and effort improving this algorithm, and you guys are running professional businesses, and you're not, again, you're not moving from one parking lot to another like some used car operators, that are some of the shadier ones. I think we need a long-term strategy here. A couple closers here on mobile SEO. One, forget top 10. We're talking top 3. Use Google Places. No Flash. No Flash. I'm still stunned at how many places I've gone to, or I've tried to go to, and I'm trying to find them on my mobile phone, and their developer built them a Flash website, so they're Apple invisible. And then, when you have your separate mobile site, use this code to redirect your visitors to that mobile site. And if you do that, you're not going to have duplicate content issues. You can have a lot of the same content, but it's a different website. Google knows it's a mobile website, and it improves the user experience as well. But Google will then pull up the mobile website when they see a mobile browser. Let's briefly jump over to Google Ad products, because the interesting thing here, one of the stats I didn't show you, but Google as a percentage of searches is even higher on mobile than they are on desktop. Google, all told, is about 80% now of searches. Microsoft tries to pretend it's 70, but it's really closer to 80. On a mobile device, Google's up like at 89% of searches. So when you're looking at paid media products on mobile, we really are talking a Google game. 3 ad products: search ads, web display ads, and app display ads. We're not going to cover app display ads because I really don't think apps are the first place to start. That's a really advanced strategy, And the poll question I should have asked at the end of this, and we haven't asked it, but what % of you think you've got the fundamentals covered? Because this is the 80-20. Get these things covered first. Search, bunch of ad formats there. Click to call, phone extension, location extension. If you do have an app, a click to download. You can put offers in there. I'm a big, big fan of offers, especially for things that you're already pushing out there like oil changes and other things. You can do some flash offers, some quick stuff. That's a great use of a mobile device. A lot of form factors in display ads. And keep in mind, you don't always need to create totally new stuff. You know, a lot of you guys have libraries of content that you've already developed for TV ads and others. Figure out how to repurpose that. You know, we had a client in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, so the largest outfit in carpet cleaning. Spent several million a year on TV ads. Went to and had a jingle he'd been running for 10 years. So anyone in the Metroplex had heard that thing. We went to town. You know, a bunch of other folks came in there and they said, "Oh, you want to create new stuff?" And new stuff. It was like, why don't we just take your existing TV ads and slice them and dice them and, you know, make them internet video friendly, shorter, grainier, faster loading. But we don't need new content. We can use the content you have. I'm a big fan of recycling when it comes to stuff you've already paid for. How do we reuse that stuff? Because creating some of these things can be expensive. It doesn't have to be. Now, on your AdWords, those of you who are doing AdWords, which is 74% of you, make sure you break out mobile as a separate group. It improves campaign performance. On average, an 11.5% click-through rate increase. The click-through rate is going to help your quality score. It's going to reduce your cost per click. It's going to improve your position. It'll give you more control over bids and budgets. I recommend a separate budget for mobile. And again, you may want to bid to be in position 1 or 2. You know, in normal AdWords, you can be kind of anywhere in the first 5 positions. You're probably getting a lot of traffic. Usually positions 1 and 2 are the only ones that show above all the natural results on mobile. Tailor ad creative and keywords for mobile behavior, because when people are searching mobile, they tend to use short tail words, and they tend to be more in quick mode. And so give them an easy call to action and an easy quick gratification. They're less likely to be in heavy research mode. Again, tablets are kind of in the middle of that. And then optimize your campaigns using specific mobile ad features. Site links has a huge typical click-through rate improvement, and location extensions, also click-to-call. And the key thing for why I think you need to create a separate mobile campaign is if you don't separate it, you can't track it. And at the end of the day, if I'm spending a marketing dollar, I want to know, did it work or did it not work? And if I'm blending mobile campaigns with normal AdWords campaigns, I don't really know what part of it's working. So I think, do we have one more poll question, or did we run through them all?
No, we do have one more poll question. Would you like to run it now?
Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. Okay, everyone, let's get to getting. If you can please look at your screen, we have one last question for you. And all you have to do is answer or finish this statement. You currently have. And for this question, you can select all that apply. So you don't have to just pick one. If you have 1 or 2 or all 4, whatever, let us know. So you currently have a mobile optimized website, a separate logo or mobile SEO campaign, a mobile ad campaign separate from your main pay-per-click campaign or Google campaign, and you have a mobile app, which, as we already covered, very, very advanced. I got to see this. You got an app? I want to see it. Okay, so once we get a majority of the votes in, we're going to close the poll and share the results. And we still need some more of your votes. So do you currently have a mobile optimized website, a separate local and mobile SEO campaign? And it was so funny, Bill, when you said that you should have mobile campaigns separate. I was about to say, why? And you just automatically started answering my question. So thank you for that, Bill, for reading my mind.
Anytime.
I appreciate that. And then do you have mobile ad campaigns separate from your main pay-per-click or Google campaigns? And do you have a mobile app? They say there's an app for everything. So is there an app for your dealership? And you know what? We have most of our peoples today out there in webinar land voting, so I'm going to close this poll and share the results with all of you fine people. Check it out. 89% of today's audience say that they do have a mobile optimized website. Fabulous. 32% of today's audience say that they have a separate local versus mobile SEO campaign. 26% of today's audience say they have a mobile ad campaign separate from their Google campaign. And I think this is astounding that 21% of today's audience today, 21% have a mobile app. That's a lot, I think, because I don't think a lot of businesses have that. I think that tells Bill and I that the auto industry is really getting pretty savvy when it comes to online marketing. Bill, what did you think about all that?
I'm actually really impressed at that because I generally advise apps as a more advanced strategy. Once you've learned everything from kind of getting the first 80%, that'll kind of give you the data you need to do the app right. So of the 20-odd% of you that have an app, I'm hoping it's working, or that it's a cheap throwaway app that you're also using for learning, because there's so much money out there. There's so many people running around. Again, these failed artists who've all joined ad agencies, they're running around, trying to sell custom apps without really knowing, what the apps are going to be used for. And then there are a bunch of templatized apps that might be a little bit ugly, but are kind of functional and get the job done. And, understanding, what are apps going to be more useful in helping people buy cars. I tend to think apps are great potentially for customer retention, for reminding people, hey, it's time to come for the dealership for a servicing call. Hey, we're running an oil change special. Hey, we have these kinds of things going. So kind of, doing that retention part. I haven't yet seen a great app that's helped with the new customer acquisition. I've seen them help in kind of the CRM side of things, the continuing and developing to build an existing relationship with a customer. So I'd love to, please share your feedback on what's working for you in the app space, because most of the money we see in sectors outside of autos that are currently being spent on mobile apps is not being spent well.
Well, without further ado, let's start with some of these questions, because we are a little bit over time, and I do want to get to a handful of these questions that our audience has for you, Bill. Are you ready?
As ready as I'll ever be.
Okay. First question comes to us from Chip, and he says, according to market research from Canalys, for every 2 iPhones sold, approximately 5 Android phones are now sold. Why should we not concentrate on Android apps and Android mobile platforms?
From a website perspective, I definitely concentrate on both Android and iOS. From an apps perspective, there's also data out there showing that iPhone buyers are much more likely, spend more money and are much more likely to use the iPhone to buy something. So again, it depends on your demographics, and it depends on how long you think you're going to have that app around. And I'm a big believer of do small things, learn from them, fail quickly, and then build on it. So your very first mobile site, you may not want it to be cross-platform. I mean, for your very first mobile app, and it can be a lot harder to get people to, if you're using it for customer retention, if you have a mobile app and it's customer retention and developing and broadening a relationship with an existing customer set, I would say absolutely. They're already customers. You need to be where they are, and you need to be on both platforms with your app if you found an app that makes sense. If your app is focused on new customer acquisition, people who don't know you from Adam and have never been in the store before, I'd say it's still very much a learning thing, and every time you're supporting multiple platforms, it increases the cost of your app. And really, that first app you do, I almost view it as it's like training wheels. You're designing it to learn, and it's people used to keep a website for 3 or 4 years and before they did the next one. I think a lot of these apps are going to have a lifetime of like 2 or 3 quarters. And the findability problem with apps is a whole nother webinar. I mean, talk about app. There's a whole sub-industry of app store SEO. We're just helping something get found in an app store. So the question is how are you going to get people to find your mobile app? Again, on the new client acquisition side. On the existing client thing, it's a little easier. You can market to them. You can say, hey, this is a tool that's going to help you. But if your app is for new customer acquisition, there's a big findability challenge with apps. That findability challenge is easier with iOS. It's more well understood and more known how to get apps found in the Apple iStore rather than in the Android world.
Yeah, actually.
I don't know if that's a helpful answer, but it's time, it's budget, and it's do you really know exactly where you're going to make money on that app and how?
Yeah, actually Chip wrote back in and he said he's so glad that you answered that way. Most apps are not searchable. So Bill, no, I think you're right on point with that as well. And just so you know, my best friend, she has the iPhone. I have the Droid Razor. And on several occasions, she'd be right next to me and we would search for the exact same thing. And mine went a heck of a lot faster and I found exactly what I needed way faster than she did. I'm not saying anything against iPhone. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're just on Google's payroll.
Android really knows how to get with Google. That's all I know. Okay, let's go to the next question. All right, Bill. I hear what you're saying. Okay, next question came to us from John. Hey, John. John says, on mobile SEM, is there just one position? And I know there's not just one position, but how many positions are there when you get to search engine, pay-per-click on mobile? Is it 2? Or is it 3?
It varies. It varies, but they're typically 4.
What?
They're typically 2 above and 2 at the very bottom. So if you have the patience to get through the first 3 search results and you keep scrolling and you keep scrolling and you keep scrolling and you go all the way down to the bottom of whatever Google's decided to display, they often will show another couple mobile ads down there.
Ah.
But the vast bulk of the click-throughs are up at the top, and sometimes it's just 1, sometimes it's 2. Google, this is one of the pieces of the Google paid algorithm that's most in flux right now because everybody's trying to figure how to monetize mobile ad inventory, and they haven't yet figured out how to maximize it yet. But as a general rule, they're going to be 3 to 4, and it's going to be a couple on top and a couple on the bottom.
Gotcha. Okay, John already wrote in and said thanks, so thank you for that question, John. Next question comes to us from Allison. She says, is Flickr still relevant, or has Pinterest and Instagram taken over?
Flickr is still relevant as a place to host images. They'll sit there. There's not a lot of engagement going on Flickr, but one of the nice things about Flickr is it's really Google friendly. So if you're striving primarily for social media engagement with images, Pinterest is absolutely the place to be. However, if you're striving for, can Google get this data, index it, and display it, and you don't want to have those images hosted on your own website for a variety of reasons, Flickr's still really, really strong. And then Instagram now, it's probably going to go the way of most of the rest of Facebook, which, Facebook, for whatever reason, Mark Zuckerberg, makes Google look really good in privacy, and somehow Google makes Microsoft look good in privacy, so it's all kind of a disaster. But Mark doesn't want to, he wants all of your data, but he doesn't want to give it to Google for free. And Google doesn't like that because Google thinks it has a right to data for free. So, there's kind of that Instagram getting folded into Facebook. Is stuff going on in Instagram going to help you image-wise socially? Yes. Is it going to help you with Google image search? Probably not so much.
Okay, and I should have asked you a couple questions ago if you could go to the next screen so people can see your cute little face and get some of your there you go. That's how you get a hold of Bill. All right, just in case you wanted to get a hold of Bill and continue this conversation. I want to take this one very interesting question from Chad next. Chad wrote in, A lot of your presentation, as well as other presenters' companies, focus on Google only. However, our website sees an average 20 to 25% of search engine traffic from Bing and around 8 to 10% from Yahoo. What suggestions do you have for Bing and Yahoo to target mobile and overall traffic?
Well, I'll start with overall, and that's the, we actually have some clients that, in their paid media budget, they just don't have the wallet to compete against the big boys on AdWords. And so we have some clients that we run Bing-only campaigns for them. And the reason for that is that Bing users, and Bing powers Yahoo now, Bing users are good consumers. They tend to skew a little bit older. They tend to skew a little bit more female, but they buy. And the old females are great consumers. But the challenge is there just aren't as many people on those search engines. But from a dollar perspective, I'll tell you this, whether you're running your AdWords internally or whether you've outsourced your AdWords, Bing is almost always under-optimized with pay-per-click ads, because when someone's sitting down and saying, where do I spend the next hour of my time, the answer almost never is Bing. So those Bing accounts kind of sit and tend to run, they shouldn't, but they tend to run, I'm not going to say on autopilot, but let's just say less carefully maintained than the Google accounts. So if you're spending time on your Bing account and you're getting enough traffic there, you're going to beat your competitors on Bing. And sometimes, a lot of times what happens is people will, put their whole budget over with an ad agency, and the ad agency will, kind of have their 22-year-old who they say they make their Google expert, and they'll sort of figure out how to do it on Google, and they'll just import the campaign to Bing and won't make any changes. Well, you've got a real opportunity competing against those folks if you're focused on Bing. So that's in general. I am a fan of Bing. What we've seen with our market share data is that Bing has less of a market share on mobile than it does as a search engine on desktops. So again, the stats are somewhere between 70 to 80% Google, and it depends on country and B2B versus B2C, but 70 to 80% market share with Google on desktops. But the stats I'm seeing out there for mobile devices has Google up as high as 89% market share. I think a lot of that's driven by Android, but it's, there is Bing traffic out there on mobile. Again, I'm sure it's under-optimized because everyone's spending time on Google. The optimization tips are really the same sorts of things with SEM. It's look at, construct a test environment, test different ad copy, test different landing pages, test different messages, and then optimize, have a culture of optimization based around those tests. And, figure position testing and those things. You may be the only person in your space, if you do mobile Bing advertising there. Your competitors might not even be there. So if you're able to, if you're concerned about Google's phenomenal ability to come reach in around your backside and grab more dollars out of your wallet every month, focusing on Bing is a great mitigation strategy for that.
Well, I want you to know Chad did write back in, and he said thank you, and he totally agrees with everything you said, Bill. And he also wants to point out that his Bing traffic has higher pages per visit, higher average visit duration, and a lower bounce rate under 15%. So I think Chad likes Bing. Chad's all about the Bing.
I'm a big fan of it. The challenge is just sometimes it's for certain types of searches and certain types of users, you can't hit your growth targets on Bing alone in some cases.
Gotcha.
In other cases, that's the only thing there's budget for. Again, we've got some clients that don't even do AdWords. They just do Bing because AdWords has gotten all sort of pooped out by too many people throwing too much money at it, and it's just too competitive. So
no, I agree.
The answer is going to vary. I mean, if you're a mega dealer and you've got multiple locations spread around a metro area, and you just want to pound it, and you're growing share, you're not going to get there on being alone. If if you're limited by online budget and the boss has come down and just said, here's the budget, this is all you have, and I want to get the best return out of this budget possible, you're probably going to get better ROI on Bing. So it kind of depends on what are the goals you've been handed, and then you optimize given that constraint.
Yeah, and certainly your geographical location. Are you in a major metro? Are you out of a major metro? I mean, there's a lot of factors, but Bill, I think you're spot on exactly what you're saying. So, Chad, thank you very much for that very thought-provoking question. And Bill, thank you so much for such an enlightening presentation. You were fabulous, and I do want to thank you so much for your time, as well as all of our attendees today. I want to certainly thank you. I know we went way over on today's presentation, but I want to remind the audience, don't worry, we recorded everything today. So, hey, wait, Bill, where are you going? Don't go anywhere. A link to download a copy of today's webinar recording is going to be emailed to you later today for your reference, and please feel free to share it with friends and colleagues. And in that same email, I will also be sending you all a PDF of ApogeeResults.com free mobile health checklist. So be sure to check it out. And today's webinar is also going to be posted online within 24 hours. Just go to dealeron.com/webinars to view our upcoming webinar schedule and access any of our past webinars too. Also, at the conclusion of this webinar, in just a few minutes, you're going to receive a short survey. Please fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. And yes, invitations will be going out tomorrow for next week's webinar, the Lead to Appointment Show with Joe Webb. Oh yeah, the funniest guy in the car business and the founder of Dealer Knows Consulting. Joe is going to present a fun and educational game show influenced webinar that demonstrates how to get an online shopper out from behind their monitors and into your showroom. In his engaging and entertaining webinar, dealers will be shown the best practices of lead management process in a format inspired by game shows. What's not to love? Needless to say, this is going to be a very fun, educational, and interactive hour, and you got to be here for this. This will be another can't miss presentation by your friends at Dealeron. And don't forget, Dealeron's weekly webinars are held every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And we have some great webinar subjects planned for the end of this year. So if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars or our topics, you got to contact me directly. My name is Eliana Raggio. I love hearing from you. Track me down online. I'm absolutely on every network available, or email me at eliana@dealeron.com. Thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and we hope to see you all on a future webinar in our continuing education series. Have yourselves a good one.